Empire Talks presents your host, Rick Delgado.
Welcome to Empire Talks. I am your host, Rick Delgado, and welcoming back is one of my favorite people. And it's funny because we had this long distance relationship that was by phone, and now is the second time we get to see each other again. Lynne Wadsworth is our guest at Holistic Health and Wellness LLC. She's based out of Valrico, Florida, but she's joining us today here live and in person. Go to her website, holistic-healthandwellness.com, or if you're looking for her help, you can also reach her by phone, 813-340-1368. Lynne, welcome back, and how are you?
Thanks, Rick. I'm doing great, thanks.
Yeah, well,
Glad to be back in New York City.
And thank you for taking the time to come up and join us again. How was your flight this time?
No comment.
No comment. All right, we'll keep that on the wrap. She's had some flight issues recently. We won't get too far into. Actually, it might come up a little later as we talk about some of the other stuff. But just to give everybody a little background about yourself and what you do, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself
Yes.
and exactly what you do as the owner of Holistic Health and Wellness?
Yeah, I am a holistic health coach as well as a wellness certified cooking instructor. And I have been doing this for about 5 years now and love helping people find health and wellness in many different ways, whether it's some kind of illness, weight issue, headaches, as we've talked about before, migraines. I really do quite a bit of this, that, and the other.
Right. And in terms of the migraines, we did mention it, and we should remind people you do have a new book coming out. It's the name of the book is called Conquering Migraines,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And where is that going to be available?
It should be available this weekend on my website for download, and then it's available at Amazon for download for the Kindle or some other reader, and then Create Space has got the printed copy.
Okay, great. So people can either order a hard copy or they can get it for their
Right.
for their device.
Yes.
As the kids call it. Now, in terms of the book, again, you can go to the website, which is holistic-healthandwellness.com, and you can get your copies there. And just look for it. It should be easy to find. She's going to probably have a big advertisement on her website saying, "Here's my new book. Buy it now."
Yeah.
And again, it's called Conquering Migraines. It's something that a lot of people suffer with. We delved into a lot of that last time we spoke. And it's something that, again, you yourself had firsthand knowledge of and
Right.
firsthand experience dealing with.
Most health coaches are like that. Most of them deal with certain areas because they've dealt with that themselves. I've dealt with basic health issues myself, as well as migraines and yo-yo weight problems. So, I've been there. I understand how people think, how they feel. So I know that I can help them, because people who are empathetic are more likely to be able to help somebody in that situation. And that's really why I do a free consultation, because I also realize that I'm not for everybody.
Right.
So, if they
I don't
get
know how you could say that, but good.
well, some people just don't get it. So, if they have a free assessment, we see what the health issues are, but we also see if we're a good fit for one another.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Now,
it is quite a bit to embark on with somebody. You're giving them your life
right.
to deal with and help with, so you need to be comfortable with that person.
Now, because you do a lot of the coaching, the health coaching, and you do that consultation with them, what kind of things can you help them with? I mean, aside from, of course, we talked about the migraines.
Weight issues, stress management, health issues. I don't get into anything too complicated, because obviously I am not a doctor.
Right.
Don't claim to be and don't claim to take the place of a physician. But a health coach is somebody that's there to help people with their health issues, to encourage them on to health and wellness, to educate them in a healthy lifestyle. So, like, I know how to help people with cholesterol issues because I've been there myself.
Right.
I know how to help people with inflammation. That kind of goes along with migraines in a way. But a lot of inflammation, you know, people think, I was talking to somebody recently about anti-inflammatory issues. I mean, that takes in a whole gambit of things from fibromyalgia to arthritis to different health issues like that I can help people with.
Now, when you're dealing with stuff like that, like you mentioned, the fibro and other, I guess they'd be considered chronic pain, right?
Yes.
How do you go about, you know, working with that? Because that's stuff that's been there for a while.
It has been, and for a lot of people, it's like an ongoing issue. I've got health coach friends who have fibromyalgia and Lyme disease and different sicknesses that they deal with on an ongoing basis. There's not a quick fix for it. It's, again, comes back to changing your lifestyle so that you can do what you need to do to stay healthy.
Right. Now, with coaching, everybody thinks, okay, you're going to be out there cracking the whip on them, right?
No, it's a very non-judgmental atmosphere because I've been there myself and I know what it's like to have somebody point the finger at you, and that doesn't help. So I'm there to encourage them, to support them, to educate them, and help bring them through to the other side so that it's like you get your aha moment in whatever you're dealing with, that you realize that you're the one that's got to decide to change. Again, it goes back to what we talked about last time, was a mindset issue.
Now, you mentioned something that you know, I feel like I start to see a little bit more, you know, that aha moment, you know, that's becoming something that you see advertised, and find your aha moment or find your why. But when you're working with someone and they do experience that, what is that like?
Oh, that's really great. I mean, when you see people realizing what it is that's keeping them from health and wellness, and you see them passing over that hurdle, it's just so fulfilling. Right. Because you know it's helped someone, and that's why I do this, because it helps people.
Right. And do you mind if I ask what was your aha moment?
I had several of them, I guess. And I have to say, just because I'm a health coach doesn't mean that I've overcome all of my health issues, because like most health coaches, we deal with things. I think for me, when I realized that doing all this yo-yo dieting was not helping my health, I got to the point of, as I told you last time, high cholesterol. And I've actually recently been diagnosed with high blood pressure, which runs in both sides of my family, which I really don't like dealing with because I've never had to deal with that. I've always had a low blood pressure. So I guess my aha moment came kind of through learning through college all of the things I've been doing wrong, and it's not because they're necessarily the wrong thing to do, but they weren't working in my life. Obviously, I mean, I'm a lifetime member of Weight Watchers, not that I've been for years, but that was one of the things that I did. You see people with great results, but when you step away from that program, do you carry it on? For some people, yes, they do. They carry on with it. But for me, it was like every fad diet. I don't know if you remember the cabbage soup diet.
No, I don't remember that one.
That was a good one.
Wasn't there a bacon diet or the Atkins, which was
all
Atkins, meat and bacon and stuff like that?
Yeah. And really, for me, I realized that I could do those, but they weren't sustainable for me. Right. And the same with my health. I realized that even with my migraines, that what I was doing wasn't working for me. And so diet was a big thing for me when I realized, and of course I'm using that term loosely because I don't like the word diet, but when I realized that that was a whole big issue for me and I got onto a healthy lifestyle, that was probably an aha moment because things started to change for me.
Right. And now let me ask you this. When you are, say you take someone in and they come knocking on your door and they say, Lynne, I really want to work with you, right? And you say, okay, what are your issues? And they say, okay, I want to go through this, find that healthy path for me that works. How do you feel about stuff? Because you always hear about people, I'm doing a cleanse or I'm detoxing and stuff like that. Mm. How does that kind of stuff work into it? Or do you even ascribe to it?
I do detoxes. I believe that they can be really good, but again, this isn't going down to your chain store and buying one of those cleanses or detoxes that's like a few pills that you take and it cleans out your system. I do detoxing through a healthy diet, taking out specific foods but eating specific foods. So my detoxes do not cause you to be hungry. You're always satisfied.
Right.
But what you do through a detox is it detoxifies your liver, and of course if you're on meds, you know that the meds go through your liver, and so that environmental issues get your liver clogged up. So it's good for all of us to do a detox at one time or another. If you've been on a vacation and you've really been bad, detoxing is a great way to get back into the swing of things. My detoxes are always about food, and you can learn what your food sensitivities are. You can reset your hormones if you do a good detox.
Really?
Yes. Hormones are another thing we haven't talked about with migraines, but many migraine sufferers have hormonal issues that cause migraines. Hormonal issues we know cause weight gain. So if you can reset them with doing a detox, you've got a jump start on it. So some people, and it depends on the person, some people can do a detox, some can't. So if they can, it's a great way to start off. But for others, it would be further into working with me before they get to the point where they could do something like that.
Okay, now how is that different from, say, a cleanse? Or is that
It's just a different word for it. Some people like to use the word cleanse, some people use detox, but they're all really the same thing.
Because, you know, you hear about these people, like, I've known people to be like, oh, I'm doing a cleanse or I'm doing a detox. And Lynn, you know, it's like every time you talk to them, they're like, I'm in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like, is that
not like that on mine. No,
okay, good.
Those are usually the ones where you're going and taking some pills or some liquid or something that's
and
in the health food store.
Water and
yes.
lemon and this, and everything is a liquid, and
yes.
everything that's going in is a liquid, everything that's evacuating is a liquid,
yes.
and you become a liquid.
And I've done those, and they're not fun. Even some of them that they say are healthy, especially for migraine sufferers, you have to be very careful to eat consistently and keep your blood sugar levels level. And if you're just suddenly depriving your body of all of that food, that concerns me. What does it do to your hormone levels, to your blood sugar levels? The idea is of staying energetic throughout the day. You keep your blood sugar level straight and consistent. If you're doing a radical detox or cleanse like that, you're really not keeping your body on an even keel.
Okay. Now what if somebody has a medical condition, so to speak? What if they've got, I don't know, they're diabetic? Is that something you work with?
I haven't worked with too many diabetic people, just because it hasn't been something that's touched my life, although I do have a couple of family members now that are getting to that pre-diabetic stage. So, you know, I keep thinking I need to look a bit more into that so I can help them. It still goes back to eating a healthy lifestyle. One of the people that I used to work with years ago was a diabetic, and she was very strict about what she ate and how she ate. I mean, it's all again about keeping your blood sugar level. So there are, as diabetics know, there are certain foods you can eat, certain foods you can't eat, and a lot of theirs is eating good carbs, and we tend to get those mixed up with carbohydrates as a whole. Again, it goes back to the carbohydrates that have been stripped of their purity and now are a different color than they naturally were. I mean, diabetics can't go that route. They have to eat the whole food type thing.
Now what about with, because like you just mentioned, you've got a high blood pressure situation. Do you work with people like that as well?
I do.
And how do you combat something like that?
Again, a lot of it's diet, and a lot of it's knowing what you can eat and what you can't. I did, when I last went for my regular checkup with the doctor, she did tell me that I could start tapering my blood pressure medication down because it was staying pretty consistent. So, you know, it's the same thing with anything else. You don't tell people to stop taking their medications. You take them for a reason, and blood pressure medication is not something you just stop taking. So I just work with people and see how they do with different diets and different stress management things, making sure they're overall healthy. And then you see where their blood pressure's at and see if there's something and of course I would always send them back to a doctor, see what your doctor now says about how your blood pressure's dropped and what you can do about it.
Right. Because with something like that, like you're just talking about, the blood pressure, is that reversible?
In my case, I would say it seems like it is, although I would also have to say that I'm genetically predisposed to that because both my mum and dad had high blood pressure. But I'd always run a very low blood pressure, like 90/60 or 70, to where sometimes I would be concerned that mine was so low. So to have gone high, for me, was really quite different and very frustrating. So I've been trying to keep back on a healthy diet, and I am seeing it come down. It's not reversible with all people. Some people are just genetically predisposed to that.
Right. And again, Lynne mentions that she's not a doctor. She's not telling you to stop taking your meds.
No.
This is what she does. She works holistically. It's meant as complementary. So, along with your physician, working with someone like Lynne, she can help you kind of, get to that point where now the physician has told her you can start backing off on some of these things and hopefully lead you down that lifestyle that's a lot healthier and help you live longer as well.
Right. Right. And it helps with the aging process.
See, that's important.
Yes.
See, a lot of people
Definitely.
don't realize that. Or they think about it, but they don't put it in perspective when they're grabbing for that food and those things that maybe aren't the healthiest choices for them to make.
Right.
And how it affects not only how they feel, physically and for their age, because there's some people you look down the street and you'd be like, that person looks like they're 10 years older than me, and they're not.
They're not.
And they're actually 10 years younger. And you're like, what are they doing wrong?
And some of it's environmental. My mother-in-law lived in Florida all of her life, and she was out cutting the grass every week, and she had a lot of sun damage, and she actually had a facelift twice because her skin was so bad.
Right.
So there are environmental things. I love the sun because I live in Florida. I love the beach, but I just don't do sun anymore. It's just not worth what it brings about. My husband worked on the flight line in the Air Force for years and now has problems with skin cancer. So when we're young, we tend not to think about things like that, but as you age, you realize that you've done yourself a disservice because all of a sudden you wonder, where did all those lines appear from, and why do I look older than I really am? And it's the same with food. What goes into your body it also has an effect on the outward appearance.
Right. Yeah, and I think people don't realize that going in. They just think, I'm young enough, I can deal with it. I can have this. It's okay. And then years later, they're like, what happened?
Why did I do that?
Right. Yeah, and it's something that could be fixed with just little tweaks here and there, and a lifestyle change. Getting somebody like Lynne who can coach you and be like, all right, you've gotten to this point. Let's figure out a new path, so to speak. Because a lot of times, you get caught up in life. And I think that probably has a lot to do with it as well.
And here in the States, our life is so fast-paced.
How is it compared to, because you're from the UK? I think people can tell. She's not a native Floridian.
I'm not from here. I'm an alien.
How does the the lifestyle change?
The lifestyle is different now to what it was years ago. I mean, whereas at one time you would never see fast food stores on the corner, now they have all of it. But their lifestyle is a lot slower paced than ours, even though in the big cities they're busy and they have the fast paced lifestyle. But on the whole, if I would go home and visit family, I would feel like I'd really de-stressed and had a rest.
Right.
Whereas like the vacation we just came off on the cruise was just so busy going here, there, and everywhere. I came home and thought, gosh, I really need a vacation from vacation. But when I go home to Europe, it's really a change in pace.
Right. Now, how do you work with, like you said, that I need a vacation from my vacation? You just dealt with that yourself. You were on a cruise, and you think, okay, cruise, that's going to be nice. It's going to be relaxing, sit by the pool, look at the water.
Well, let me tell you that we went to Alaska, so we didn't do any sitting by the pool.
Okay.
It was kind of cold. But, because you want to make the most of your vacation and see all of the sights. And so then on the way home, we had this awful flight. And another flight. We were diverted from Denver to Amarillo, and then we stayed in Amarillo and we couldn't eat, and got back on the plane and went to Denver and had missed our connections and had to sleep on the airport floor. So that was kind of why I felt like I needed a vacation, because instead of coming home and having 2 days to get over my vacation, I had one day when I was crazily busy trying to get everything ready for my week, to get back to life, and it can be hard for people. But one thing that helps with that getting back to life is really pre-planning, and I always go on a Sunday, I know because it's the closest day to the start of the week, do my shopping, and then I do some cooking for the week, and I prepare and pre-plan, because if I didn't, there's no telling what I would eat. If I don't have a plan for the week, I would not be as healthy as I am.
Right. Now, how do you work with people that maybe do have that busy lifestyle? Maybe they're, they do a lot of traveling for work, or maybe they've got, the two parents at home with the kids, and they're both working, and got to run this one kid there, I got to do work, and then I got to come back and take little Johnny over to this practice, and little Mary over to that thing. And,
that's a great question.
And so you've got the whole family dynamic that's probably like, just grabbing food on the go.
And yet there are ways around that, and I do educate people with that. And I actually have another Facebook group for busy women who want to stay fit and healthy, because there are ways that you can pre-plan and you can prepare even if you're on the run all the time. And it's a case of what you have with you, what you got prepared ahead of time. There are always healthy options. You don't have to run through the drive-through and get a McDonald's and French fries.
It's so easy. They call it a happy meal. It's supposed to make you happy.
Yeah, tell that to your body.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Now, what about when you are working with somebody and they've adopted this healthier lifestyle? They've been working with you for a while, because you said you get a lot of your clients stay with you for a while because it's working, and they want to keep that forward momentum going. But then maybe they suffer that setback. Maybe they do get stuck in an airport for 2 days, sleeping on floors, and those options aren't there for them.
Right, and it's like I do in my own life. So when you get back, you've got to have that mindset that I'm going to get back into my healthy lifestyle, because if you don't have that mindset, then you spiral downward. And I take it back to, people think health coaches have it all together. And I went through a couple of surgeries myself, 2 within the space of 6 months, and it was like a downward spiral.
Right.
And it has been a big challenge to me to get back onto the horse, so to speak. I'm back on my healthy diet. I'm not exercising as much as I used to, but some of that is due to some time changes that I've undergone, with where I used to get up early in the morning. I don't have that luxury at the moment. Okay. And I don't do so well late at night. So, you have to find what works for you, and that's what I try to tell people. Come back with the mindset that you're going to get back on the wagon as soon as you can, and find somebody to be accountable to. That's what's so great about a health coach, and why a lot of health coaches have other health coaches to help them, because accountability really keeps you in line. Right. And I think that I had been on a path of having accountability with some programs I was doing, and then after these surgeries I didn't have it, and so it was really hard to get back into the swing of things. But if people have got somewhere there that will encourage them and talk to them and show them how to get back on, we're all going to veer off. And so you can it's like an alcoholic, you either get back into recovery as quickly as you can, or you continue that downward spiral. Right. And it's a choice that you have to make, just like a lot of things in our lives. We have to make right choices and healthy choices.
Right. Now, when somebody is suffering from, say they're in a downward spiral, is it a matter of you've got a few little tricks that you've taught them? Do you have them keeping journals? I mean, how does that whole thing work?
For some, and of course everybody's different. Some people just detest journaling, and some people don't like food diaries. And so if I'm educating somebody and I'm coaching somebody, I will generally, at least when they're in that downward spiral, have them keep a food diary, and then I'll make them send it to me so that I can look it over, because it's really easy to think that you're eating well, and then when you've got it down in writing, you realize just exactly what it is that you've eaten, and it's not always, you've eaten more than you intended to, or and it's not about calories. Again, it's not about calories, but I do kind of watch my calorie intake, just because I know if I've overdone my calories, then I've eaten too much food, because all of us have a healthy level of calorie intake that we should have. But again, I don't go by what's your calorie intake so much as what is the food that you're eating. Because if you're eating food that's got lots of fiber and natural healthy nutrients, then it's easier to get back on your healthy lifestyle because you feel full and you feel satisfied. Getting back into the exercise circuit can be a little bit more difficult.
Oh yeah, because everybody's afraid, oh, it's going to hurt, it's going to hurt. Lynn,
but you don't have to start out that way. You do it a little bit at a time, even if it's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If you can fit in 15 minutes 3 or 4 times a week, it's more than you were doing before.
That's true. And again, a lot of it, I think, that we're learning from talking with you is the accountability factor too. It's a health coach who has a health coach, because you know what, sometimes they need that help. Right. They're busy helping somebody else, and maybe they're losing sight of what they're trying to do in their life as well. And I think you see it all over the place though, really. I mean, let's face it, you can have the greatest team in the world. Let's take basketball for instance. The Golden State Warriors, greatest team right now. Guess what, they have a coach. The best players in the world, they have coaches for a reason. It's because they know they can't do it on themselves, and they know that they could fall back into some bad habits that maybe aren't going to help them, get to where they want to be. And I think, that just reflects as well on your life.
Yeah, it helps them keep focused.
Yeah, and whether it be in a sport or on their diet or just, even in business.
There are a lot of business coaches out there too that do the same thing. They get people back on track.
Right, and it's important to know that, hey, you know what? Maybe you do need help. Sometimes you do need help along the way, and it's okay to reach out to people that you think might be able to help you. Right. And one of those people is Lynne Wadsworth. She's our guest right now. She's the owner at Holistic Health and Wellness, LLC. She's based out of Valrico, Florida, but you work with people all over the place, right?
Yes, I do.
And in terms of, when people go to your website, is it listed on there that you can do Skype and FaceTime and stuff like that?
I don't know if I've actually got it listed on there. I have a contact page on there, and I do post on Facebook what my schedule, what my calendar is, so that people can schedule time with me. But I use Zoom a lot for video conferencing because I can record it,
right,
and it doesn't matter where in the world anybody is. And if you've got it recorded, then they've got something to go back to listen again to what you said, because you know what it's like if somebody's talking to you about all of these different things, you tend to forget some of the things that you talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that is, when we were talking earlier as well, we're like, oh, well, we're gonna do this in front of cameras. We're used to doing it on the phone, having our computers in front of us, being able to jot down notes and be like, hey, you know what, he or she mentioned something, let's make sure we bring that up. But the same with, when you're working with somebody, it's great to have that recall of being, boom, let me hit the recording, because I can see, oh, that's right, we covered this, and here's what I think I can do to kind of help this person in dealing with that situation. Again, the website is holistic-healthandwellness.com, or you can also give her a call if you don't reach her through the website, 813-340-1368. Again, Lynne Wadsworth is our guest, and we appreciate, kind of hanging out, just hanging out today, talking about ways that she can help you, whether it be with the migraines, which again, that's something that she tackled. She had long experience with. She's got a couple books, a new book coming out dealing with migraines. It's called Conquering Migraines. It's going to be out, like you said, this weekend?
Should be this weekend, yes.
So look out for that as well. Now, in terms of, we were also talking about the coaching aspect, but you did mention hormones. And that was something that I didn't understand when we were talking about, detoxing and food and diet. And it's like, what do you mean hormones? I mean, isn't a hormone just the way it is? That's it? That's all you have?
No, that's not all you have. And of course, we go through different stages of life. And especially as you go through menopause, your hormones change. As a man gets older, his hormone levels drop.
Don't tell me that.
Sorry.
I mean, I remember the hormone rage when I was a kid. That was fun.
Yeah, that doesn't last.
Yeah,
though.
I guess it doesn't last. That's too bad.
So for everybody, there's, their hormone levels can vary at different times for different reasons. If you're in a stressful mode, it affects your hormones, which in turn affects your weight, which in turn affects your mindset. And yeah, it's interesting because if you think about the fight or flight hormone, which is cortisol, if you're constantly using that because you're in a state of stress, then it's going to mess your other hormones up.
See, I didn't even realize that cortisol was a hormone. But it is.
It is.
See, I'm learning something. So are you. I'm learning something, and so are you. Now, okay. So now my whole, because like I said, again, my references are very, very shallow here. Like,
you're talking about movies
again?
Yes,
movies and stuff. That's where it comes from. So in terms of with hormone levels, I guess. Okay, now I'm starting to remember. I have heard things about you can get hormone injections, right?
You can, and they supposedly are natural.
Okay.
But as they say, been there, done that. Didn't do a whole lot for me.
Okay.
And after having done that for, I think I had like 3 injections. One of the other doctors in the same practice was very anti doing anything like that. It kind of messed me up. It did not help me.
Okay.
If you can get back to some natural foods, that can help. You can take, especially for women, but for men too, there are creams that you can use to rub in that are natural. That was one of the things that kind of got me to the point of having to need surgery, because I'd gone back on these bioidentical hormone pills that messed up my ovaries, and I ended up having to have them out.
Oh.
So I'm very cautious with anything like that. I'm much more into let's do something natural so you don't have to go down the same road I had to go down.
Right. And again, it's somebody that, like you said, that can empathize with someone that's coming in her door, because you know what, you've gone through it.
Right.
Like, okay, I can help you with this, and here's why. Here's what worked for me. It might not work for you.
Right.
But let's explore the different natural ways, the holistic ways of actually dealing with those issues. Now, you were also a contributing author, because you are a book writer. You've written 2 books, but you also contributed, I guess, a chapter to Menopause Mavens, Master the Mystery of Menopause.
Yes.
Now, when you mention menopause, that's
menopause is something we don't really like to talk about.
Yeah.
But menopause has an effect on migraines, which is why I wrote the chapter I did.
Right.
The one that I did was on how hormones can affect migraines. And for a lot of people, they have hormonal issues that trigger migraines for them on a monthly basis. And although you can't really do a whole lot about the way that your hormones are, there are some things that you can do with food that can help your hormones to be, just like as I said with the detox, it will reset your hormones.
Right.
It's very hard when dealing with migraines that are hormonally related, but there are some natural things that you can do. As I said, I don't like supplements, but there are things like magnesium that you can take, because that's been proven to be effective with migraines, and that helps with the hormonal component. And doing some of the stress things when you know that your cycle's starting for a woman, then if you can be preventative, then you're going to have less of an issue with a migraine. If you know that cycle's coming for you again, or you know what time of the month it hits you, then you have to beat it out the door. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Again, there's a lot of stuff, and I think you said it earlier too, that it's a lot of this stuff is more connected, I think, than we all realize. When it comes to, say, stress, or you've got, something like, you're diabetic or high blood pressure, and that's affecting you as well, and you get all these other factors, and it's just like, whew, you really need an education, and I think that's part of what you do as well, too, right? When you're coaching people.
Right. There's just so many different aspects to health and wellness, but most of it comes back to the same basic issue, that you're still looking at what your diet is, what your stress levels are, what your sleep habits are, what your exercise habits are. I mean, it's holistic is taking in the whole person. That's they had a great thing when I was in school. They called it the circle of life, and it went into relationships and your eating and your spiritual life, and there were like 4 components to it, and you would have to put on the line where you were with each one and where was your weak link. But it's kind of interesting because everything plays a part in the whole person, which is what holistic health is about. It's talking about the whole person.
Right. Now what about, okay, so you've got this, I guess, 4 things you said in terms of where you're supposed to put yourself.
Yeah.
Does relationship issues, do they come into play
They
as well?
do.
Really?
They do.
And how's that?
Well, if you're in a bad marriage, guess whose stress levels are really high? If you're unhappy in your marriage, guess where your levels are?
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that I'm saying go leave the person and say goodbye, but you need to work on your relationships just like you need to work on your health with your diet, with your stress. I mean, it's all part of the whole spectrum of that whole person.
Right. Wow. Okay, so your relationship is your problem. Have you dealt with people like that too?
I have not. Most of the people that I have dealt with have pretty healthy relationships with their spouse, but I've dealt with people that are the other side of a divorce, so they're very stressed out. You know, it's a whole new dynamic there, especially if there are children involved. So, you know, when I was younger, one of the things I loved to do was counsel people. And so really holistic health coaching has an aspect of that to it, which is, I think, one reason why I enjoy it so much. Because it's not just about one thing. It's about many different things, and relationships are one of those many different things.
And it's not only your immediate relationship, your wife, your husband, your spouse, your boyfriend,
work.
girlfriend. It could be work, right? It could be friends. Maybe there's one friend that's causing problems with your whole friendly group. Facebook. Oh my goodness. Holy moly, what about that?
Facebook's pretty crazy. I try to just stay within my circle of friends that I trust, because it's easy to friend people, and I've done this myself. Right. You friend people, then you get messages that are really totally inappropriate, or somebody's at a whole different place to where you are, and you think, why did I friend this person? Because you can go look at their Facebook page, but it doesn't always give away some of their weirdness.
Their weirdness. And that can cause stress.
Yes.
Definitely. In terms of other ways that people are getting stressed out, let's talk about technology.
Well, social media is a big way that people get stressed out these days. There is way too much information out there.
Right. And what about the 24-hour news cycle too?
Yeah, can't say much about that. My husband is an avid news watcher, and I hate it. Right. It's just like, how much more do we have to listen to? That's depressing in and of itself, and stressful in and of itself. And you know, we have to choose what we're going to watch, what we're going to listen to, because that can have an effect on you. Watching the news doesn't do much for my stress levels.
Right. So as a coach, you would suggest, you know what, if news is stressing you out, let's kind of cut that out.
Right.
Because let's face it, most of the same stuff you're going to hear at 9 a.m. Same thing you're going to hear at 5 p.m.
Yep.
So not much is going to change. You don't need to add that additional stress. You've got enough, you know, with regular life, you know, that you're not taking on this additional stuff. One thing that I've seen is I don't know if I told you about this. It was a commercial that I saw recently. I'm like, it was kind of backwards the way I kind of saw this commercial, and it was a family, 2 adults and a kid sitting at a table. The 2 adults, you know, for dinner, they were on a device, but not the kid. And I thought, man, that's kind of the reverse of what everybody thinks is happening in the world these days. Now, when you're dealing with somebody that you're coaching, and they're like, look, you know, I've got all these things going on. How do you kind of say, you know what, maybe this isn't, because sometimes people are very attached to certain things, Lynne.
They are.
So you got to be delicate with them.
Well, you know, one thing that causes sleep issues is being on a device. The recommended thing is for 2 hours before you go to bed, you shouldn't be on an electronic device, because it messes with your brain. It's stimulating, so what you need to do is to be relaxing yourself at night, not stimulating yourself. And you're right, in our society, you can go out to a restaurant and most of the people are on their phones, which is why my husband has a flip phone, that he can't text on so that he doesn't have to deal with that. And he gets very irritated if I'm on my phone.
Right.
It cuts down on communication between families, which is really not healthy. It causes people to eat without thinking, and one of the things that we teach in coaching is how to eat mindfully. You're supposed to think about what you're eating, enjoy what you're eating, but did you know you're supposed to chew your food about 10 to 20 times for each mouthful?
Really?
So how many of us take a bite of food and just it slips down?
You know what? I could go through 30 or 40 Pringles with just 20 bites.
Well, you know, I think back to my mum. She always ate really quickly, and her excuse to me was always that she grew up in World War II era,
Right.
and so then they were rationed food. So I can understand somebody like that wanting to eat their food because they were afraid it was going away.
Yeah.
But we don't have that excuse anymore, but yet we've kind of learned how to do everything quickly, and so we don't even think about how we're eating our food and how that affects your digestion. And digestive issues is another thing that is great that health coaches do, because so many things affect how we digest our food, and eating it too quickly is really one of the things that causes digestive issues.
Right. And from what I understand, when you eat too quickly as well, you're affecting weight gain too,
Yes,
right?
yes. Your stomach takes 20 minutes to fill up, and when you're eating quickly, you've eaten it before your stomach's had time to tell you, hey, I'm full, I don't need any more food. You've just eaten it, and there we go with the weight gain again, and people that are so overweight in our country. And it's not just our country. I noticed how much more overweight people are in Europe now than they used to be.
Yeah, it's starting to affect
Yes.
overseas as well. I mean, we're still the fattest. Let's just get right down to it.
But it makes
As a
good
nation,
TV,
well,
as you said.
Well, I saw it on the news the other day, so it must be true that we are still, I guess, the most, as a nation, obese.
And of course, our food is so prolific. We
Right.
don't have to work unless you're in the minority of people that are on welfare, or people that don't eat like they should because they can't afford it or have some kind of misfortune. Most people in the US, there's so much food to choose from, and we don't really make the best choices. Do you know that when you go to the grocery store that you're supposed to shop around the outsides of the grocery store? Because if you think about what's on the inside of the grocery store, it's things that you really shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, or the end caps. You got to stay away from the end
The
caps,
ends,
because that's where
yes.
they put the Entenmann's cakes, the Twinkies, you name it. All the good stuff is on the end caps, because they know you're going to make that turn.
Right.
And as you're making that turn with your cart, like, hey, I want a cake.
Especially if you go in there hungry.
Oh, I love going in there.
Yeah.
hungry.
And Costco is a great place to go if you're hungry, because they've got all of these giveaways
Right.
for you.
And you don't have to buy anything.
Yes.
You can just walk back
Make
and
your
forth,
rounds.
have a couple of pierogies, maybe a pizza bagel if they're making those. Those are good choices, right? No. So that's one of Lynne's tips for anybody. It's a free tip that
Yep.
if you're trying to change your eating habits and your healthy lifestyle, don't go to Costco, because that's going to mess you up.
And you buy too much food.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what's funny about that too, because they do have good
They have
food
great deals, and they have organic food.
especially and especially the meats and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow, this is great, and that's a great place for if you are stocking up, like you said, to pre-plan, because planning is a very important part of what you teach people to do. Because if you don't plan properly, then you're out making those, fast food runs in the middle of the night, or stopping at 7-Eleven.
Or you're like me, and you just stand and look at the refrigerator and you say, there's nothing here to eat.
I've done that a few times, and then I was like, I'll rethink this. Yeah, I can eat that, and I'll reach in and grab it. Again, we're talking to Lynne Wadsworth. She's our guest. She's the owner at Holistic Health and Wellness LLC. She's out of Valrico, Florida, but she is able to work with you no matter where you're located. So make sure you go to her website, holistic-healthandwellness.com, or give her a call, 813-340-1368. She'll work with you, by telephone, by, I think it's called Zoom, you said?
Which is kind of like Skype.
Which is kind of like Skype or FaceTime, but with Zoom she can record the sessions so you can have access to them as well as she can. She's also an author. She's written a couple books. One of the books is coming out. It's called Conquering Migraines. And I noticed on your website, too, that not only a 4-step program that you get people involved in for what, 4 weeks?
For migraines, yes.
Do you also have a 12? Like
I have a 12-week program that's
Okay.
on the health and wellness spectrum, dealing more with weight issues or health issues, that goes into things a little more deeply than if I'm just coaching somebody on a monthly basis. With the 12-week program, I do weekly sessions with people, whereas if I'm doing a month-to-month, it's generally 2 60-minute sessions or 3 45-minute sessions. And it goes a little more in depth because I've got more time with the people than if they just do it month by month.
Right. Now, when you're working that far in depth, and you know, I think we mentioned this as well, you know, having that aha moment, that big breakthrough. Is there any breakthrough that kind of stands out in your mind, going, man, I didn't think this person had it in them, or something like that, where you even amaze yourself, so to speak?
I don't know if I amaze myself, but people amaze me. I've had a couple that come to mind. One of them, I've always called her my perfect client. She actually came to me with quite a bit of weight, excess weight, and she was just so ready to do something about it, and we just had such a great relationship. She lost all of her weight. She found it very easy to get onto the lifestyle that we've talked about so much, and she just was the perfect client. That they're not all like that. Some of them digress, and then you're going back over things again. But I've had a couple that have just been so easy to work with. Some people are very easy, some are more complicated, and it's very frustrating to them when they take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
Right. Now, when you're doing the coaching, and you said, you know, you've got that perfect client. What about the client that, you know, you're like, I'm working with them, and I know they've got it in them, but for some reason maybe they're holding something back. Maybe they're not really opening up to you.
You really have to start asking pointed questions with people and dig a bit deeper to find out what the real issue is about things. People can come, say, I come to see you, you're a health coach, and I say, okay, I really need to lose 15 pounds. How can you help me? So you work with me to help me to lose the weight. You show me how to go on a healthy lifestyle and not call it a diet. But really there's some underlying issues there for me. I'm gaining weight not because I'm just overeating or I'm eating the wrong thing. Maybe there's some emotional issues there. So you have to dig a bit deeper with people to find out, is there another issue here that's causing the problem? Just like with health issues, is there something that they've changed in their lifestyle that maybe has not helped? Like I attribute my high blood pressure to the fact I had 2 surgeries. I'd never had high blood pressure before, and then after these 2 surgeries it was like everything just fell apart.
It's like it triggered.
Yeah, and so then it's finding out, is there some underlying cause for what the issue is, which is what a functional doctor, MD, does. Which is why many health coaches work with functional medicine doctors, because they like to get to the root cause. So it's digging deeper and finding out, is there some underlying issue here? Is it more than just, oh, I've gained weight because I've eaten too much?
Now, when you're digging deep with somebody like that, is that something where you feel comfortable, like, okay, you know what, they're having relationship issues, that you can actually delve in and kind of counsel them?
You have to kind of go in carefully with asking some of those questions. My daughter would tell you that I'm good at that because I'm very nosy, is what she always tells me, but it's really an asset with something like this, because unless you ask the questions, you're not going to know the answers. You've got to ask questions to find out what it is that's going on in someone's life. And generally, if you're coaching with somebody for a 3-month period, you get to know one another pretty well, so it's fairly easy to ask them some of those more personal questions, and they really do tend to open up to you very easily.
Right. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of, like, you could be their bartender, because it seems like bartenders know everything.
They know everything,
about
just like hairdressers.
Yes, like hairdressers. Within like a couple drinks, boom, they know everything that's going on with that person. And maybe it's because, hey, this person I don't really have an intimate relationship
Right.
with. I'm kind of seeing them as a coach, and so they kind of have that feeling like, yeah, I guess I can talk about it.
It's kind of like one of my friends is a mental health counselor, and you think about how intimately people go into their lives with people that are psychologists, psychiatrists, and I'm not saying that I'm anything like that. I am not.
Right.
I am just a health coach. But they trust those people, and that's why the free call is so important, because you've got to know that you can trust who you're working with, that you like who you're working with, and that they can help you. So it's not just about me helping the people, it's about them having trust in me, which is why building a relationship with people, whether it's actually knowing them or whether they see you on Facebook or see you on something like this, they need to get to know a little bit about you to know if they can trust you.
Right. Now, because this always strikes me funny. Have you ever run into any of your clients out? Like you're out somewhere and all of a sudden you kind of see them and they kind of see you, they're like, oh my, and is that because you're seeing them outside of that professional relationship
actually,
that you have?
one of my perfect clients is actually somebody that I see on a monthly basis. She's my hairdresser.
Okay.
And so we know one another pretty well, but it's never awkward. When she stopped coaching with me, she stopped a few times and came back, and then she decided that she wasn't going to do it anymore. So we just kind of stopped talking about health issues.
Right.
Now she's gone back to talking to me about health issues, but we don't really talk about weight anymore.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Again, we're talking to Lynne Wadsworth. She's been our guest today, making the trip from Valrico, Florida, from her lovely home. She's a great lady, and if you want to find out more about her, the best way to do that is either give her a call on her phone at 813-340-1368, or better yet, go to her website, holistic-healthandwellness.com. On there, you can find out all about her, what she does, some of the programs that she offers. She's got a lot of free stuff on there as well, right? She's an expert when it comes to migraines. Let's face it, she's written 2 books. Her new book, Conquering Migraines, is coming out very shortly. It should be out this weekend.
Should be.
So you can go on the website. You can find it there as well. It's going to be available as a hard copy.
Through CreateSpace.
Through CreateSpace, and now is that CreateSpace.com? Is
Yes,
that their website?
CreateSpace.com.
So they can go to their direct website as well and look it up as well.
And Amazon.com for Kindle or some other device.
Right, which is great, especially if you're traveling and you get stuck.
Yes.
You know, maybe on a flight.
Except for when your iPad is still up on in the overhead.
Oh, and they don't let you get it.
Right.
Dang those. Darn. I can't say the name of the airline. Or I would. Got to watch out for my girl Lynne here. Again, we thank you so much for joining us,
Rick.
Lynne, on Empire Talks. And again, go to our website, holistic-healthandwellness.com, or give her a call, 813-340-1368. Lynne Wadsworth has been our guest right here on Empire Talks.
So now we've got to fake talk.
Yes, fake talk.
Okay.
I'm going to say something.